It's Wednesday, so we're back here with the QC SportsNet boys, Grant Dahlstrom and Joe Winkle. And Grant, you were in a wild one last night, Rock Island and UT. Rock Island with only the 6-point win, but a bunch of technicals and student ejection. Just take us through that night.
Wild is a way to put it. It's a way I would describe the game. And it really started way before the varsity game even started. There was some drama in the sophomore game. There were 5 technicals alone in the sophomore game. The rivalry was heating up earlier, and then varsity tips off. You have the referees come to go together only 2 or 3 minutes into the game, send each team to the bench, talk about how to get the game under control. They come out of that discussion with a flagrant foul. A couple minutes later, there's a technical each way, and then just a couple seconds even after that, there's more technicals. So it was a wild first quarter. It was a pretty solid first half for UT. They really weathered that storm. Rock Island really likes to get in your face, and it definitely benefits them. They're always up clapping. They're very energetic, a very high energy team. UT was able to withstand that in the first half. They led by as many as 8 in the first half. Rocky closed the second quarter nicely. They hit some shots late in the half. So it went into the second half, deadlock 33-all. And then Rock Island, much like they did in the first meeting in January against UT, completely blitzed the Panthers to start the second half. For a team in Rocky that is the best offense in the Western Big Six, they kind of were scuffling in the first half, at least from what we're used to seeing them. They only hit 2 threes in the first half. Then they come out and hit 5 in the third quarter. They grab a 12-point lead going into the fourth. UT somehow didn't go away in the game, even with really nothing going their way. They were able to fight back in the fourth quarter, which I think was pretty impressive, and a testament to what Andy Say was able to do on that bench last night. Each team really dealt with some foul trouble. UT more than Rock Island. Panthers had 9 different guys get in, even some guys that really haven't seen minutes in some of these really big games this season, and did some decent things. So I think the UT depth was on display and was solid last night. However, Rock Island, they just wear you out as the night goes along, and that eventual comeback effort for UT came short. They cut what was a 12-point deficit going into the fourth down to 2 points with about a minute left, but then they turned it over twice in the final minute. They hit a 3 in between there, but Rock Island goes 6 of 6 from the line to wrap up the game, and they end up coming away with the 68-63 win. It was a thrilling game. It was really up and down, kind of a tale of 2 halves, and it ended up coming down to, I think, what Rock Island did best, where they hit their shots in the second half. They were really good at the free throw line, and then in the last couple of minutes, much like they did on Saturday, UT turned the ball over late, and it cost them what would have been an epic comeback and an epic upset. But I still think that we saw a lot out of UT, what it took for them to get back into that game and really fight to make it a game in that fourth quarter and make Rock Island sweat it out. Panthers do end up falling short and losing their second straight, but it's really four or five times in the last 5 or 6 games where UT's offense has really made their shots considerably, because that offense was really struggling in January. It started to kind of find its stride a little bit here in the final weeks of the season, which is good for UT. Meanwhile, Rock Island, they've won 12 of 13. That only lost to Chaminade, who's one of the best teams in Missouri. And Rock Island also hitting their stride going towards postseason play. So it's back-to-back losses for UT, but probably not too much to sweat about. 2 good losses where they were in it to the very end. Now, you probably like that result on Saturday against Wheaton Warrenville South in a game where they led for a good chunk of the game. You'd probably like that one back, but I think they learned from it a little bit. They protected the ball pretty well on Tuesday against Rock Island, because the Rocks really come at you and force a lot of turnovers. UT was able to handle the ball nicely, but still Rock Island did plenty of good things, and I think they deserve to win that game, especially the way they came out of the second half. And they're not 23-4 and won 6 straight since 2023 against UT.
Hey, you mentioned Jordan Massey before as someone who needs to really get going, and he had a good game, 20 points last night.
Definitely, he had 20 points. I think I want to say around 9 or 10 of those were from the free throw line. UT was scuffling from the line last night, just 14 to 24. That really hurt him in a game that ended in 2 possessions. But he was a guy that kind of allowed them. They kept going back to him. He was a stabilizer last night. He was able to protect the ball nicely. He was able to ride out a lot of the foul trouble that the guys around him were suffering. And he was a stone in the middle for UT last night, and we saw it kind of run through him. He hit some big field goals. He hit some big free throws. He kept UT around with his effort on each side of the floor.
Big win for Moline, 33 points over Geneseo. And it was really that 36-4 run to close the game, Joe, that did it for the Maroons in that one.
I don't think I've ever seen a game that was a 1-point margin with about 11 minutes left in regulation turn into a running clock. That's the first time.
Yeah.
Check that box for all of us around town. Credit to Geneseo. That was a fun game for the first half. It was Geneseo got out to a 17-10 lead. They got hot from outside. Landon Nordstrom hit 5 threes, 4 in the first quarter. Jack Grace and Jaden Burridge. It was really those three guys combined to score 42 of their 44 points. And you could tell, we talked all year about kind of how Geneseo doesn't have the depth to be able to hang in some of these games when they step up in competition. And last night you could kind of tell. But both teams literally, Moline went, after going down 7, went on a 10-2 run in the first quarter. They go up 1 going into the second, and then both teams literally just start trading the lead back and forth. They trade baskets for about 6 minutes before Moline went up 4. Then Geneseo answered to cut it to 1. Moline then kind of slowly started to take the life out of the Leafs in the third quarter. Geneseo answered really nicely, though, to get it back to 1. They scored 5 in a row after Moline got it up to 6. But Ami Singh, who was really good last night, the lone senior for the Maroons on senior night final game.
Happy birthday, Ami Singh, today, too.
There we go. Shout out to Ami. Big couple days for him.
Yeah.
He definitely had a pep in his step last night. It was really good to see him. Moline's obviously been dying to find ways to get multiple guys involved. And Coach Taylor has said all year he thinks that they're at their best when Ami is involved, just because you already know what you can get with Josh as a sharpshooter. Brady, we'll talk about him, is sensational. But Ami is really as a senior, he's got the most veteran presence to be able to be a ball handler in certain situations, and last night he really helped. So he hits a 3 that sparks that big run. They go up 4, they go up 5 going into the fourth quarter, and then they just kind of tighten the screws. They do a few different defensive adjustments to force some turnovers, and Geneseo just kind of really, the gas tank finally burned out, and Moline just poured it on. They scored the first 22 of the fourth quarter. And then it was 36-4 overall it was 41-40 to the end of the game, 36-4, 30-2, I believe was 30-2 in the fourth quarter. So pretty crazy.
Brady Welsh, you mentioned him. 33 points, 1 point shy of a career high.
Not bad.
What about that performance?
He's okay. He's all right, folks.
Yeah.
Good player. Fourth 40-point game, second in 4 days. Decent. He's been awesome all year. There's nobody that has a bigger workload compared to the rest of the field in the conference. You could probably go through the state for teams that are in the 20-win ballpark. And this isn't against saying anything against other guys on the team, because they're good players. It's just people know that the game plan, the game plan is 100 pages long on Moline, and about 99 and a half of them just say guard Brady Welch. Yeah. That's it. You know, it's like Bart Simpson writing on the chalkboard. Yeah. We're gonna double team Brady Welch when he gets the ball across half court. But he's just been so dynamic, and he did it in a multitude of ways last night. He had 3 threes in the first quarter. He had 5 overall in the first half. So he's continuing to expand his jump shooting rate. His jump shooting's always been great. Can score at all 3 levels. Finally, really hitting a stride from the free throw line when the first half of the season was kind of a roller coaster for him at times. He went 10 of 11 last night from the line, and the miss ended, I think, a 28 in a row from the free throw line before he missed that one he did last night. He's just been playing really, really well, man. And Moline as a whole, you look at their record over this stretch of their games since early February or early January. It's not going to blow your socks off. However, you actually break down all of these games, especially they're not playing slouches in the non-conference. No. They never have, and they're never going to. There's some teams that might do that to feel good about themselves, but Sean Taylor, and I'm not calling anybody, the teams we cover, they don't do that, obviously. Rocky playing Chaminade, UT's played good teams all year. I mean, all the teams we cover, they don't duck smoke, that's for sure. No. And Moline never has and never will. Sean Taylor always wants to schedule tough opponents. And I think of the last 3 non-conference games specifically, the Rockford-Auburn game, the Peoria game, and the normal community game, all of them have had like one small stretch that has gotten where the game got away from Moline. Outside of that, they've played well in all of these games. So I think you just kind of look at the scores and you think the gap is big outside of the conference, and I don't really think it is. So I think they're playing well. Now, obviously, what's in front of them is these next few games to pull off something really special. But Welch is playing really well. Some other guys are stepping up. I thought Alante Anderson was really good again last night. They've added some new wrinkles into their lineup with freshmen, younger brother of one of the best players in Moline history, Trey Taylor, his younger brother, Ethan Davis Lamb, a freshman, has been getting more run. Travis Spicer, a sophomore, has been getting more run. Both of them had huge games last Friday and Saturday. Davis Lamb had 10-8 against Allman. Spicer had a couple threes and guarded the point guard for Normal Community, who's a 3-year starter for most of the game. So both of those guys getting their feet wet to close the season. So a lot of different things for Moline looking up.
UT on the road, making that long trip down to Quincy. Quincy in a little bit of a down year, so how does UT match up with them?
Not just UT, Grant making, well, not his first trip to Quincy, but his first trip to Quincy for basketball.
Oh, there we go.
Believe me, there's a difference between basketball and football, folks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Quincy, 8-17 this season. However, maybe with this young team that we've talked about, whenever they've been involved in a game that we've previewed, young team, but now it's the last couple weeks of this season. It is going to be on Friday, inside the last week of the regular season. This is a young team that has played now 25 games, so you expect them to show improvements, and I think that's what they're doing on Tuesday night against an Allman team that's kind of been trending upwards the last couple of weeks as well. They beat them by 41
on the road.
Allman.
Yeah.
So Quincy, I think that would have to be, if it's not a season high in points scored for Quincy, darn close, 83-42 in that one. So the Blue Devils coming off a big win, UT coming off a close loss. UT's going to have to turn the page, especially after the long road trip. The Panthers, in that first meeting, Josiah Massey had an excellent game. He had 16 points first time when these two teams met in the opening weeks of January at the Panther Den. Josiah Massey scored just 3 points the other night against Rock Island, so hopefully he could kind of have a bounce back, a guy that could really shoot it for UT. I also look for maybe Octavius Hickman to have a bounce back in this game for the Panthers. Just 8 points against Rock Island. It's a tough matchup because Rock Island is one of the few teams they have Eris Morgan, who's 6'8", one of the few teams in the conference that has a big guy. Quincy does have the big guy in Brennan Lemper, but Joe Morrow, who is a similar player to Hickman, he's a couple inches taller, and he moves in a bit of a different way than Hickman. But the other big man for UT in Morrow had 15 points in the first meeting against Quincy. Maybe they open the door just a little bit, give Quincy a different look than they did in the first meeting, and maybe Octavius Hickman gets the ball in his hands and has some more opportunities than Rocky allowed him to have on Tuesday night. But UT searching to break this 2-game losing streak, hopefully getting it done on the road against Quincy in the second-to-last regular season game.
It's going by fast, and Moline also going on the road, down 74 there to Galesburg. How do you see that one playing out?
It's going to be tough, man. This is the one we've kind of had circled for the last couple of weeks, knowing what was ahead. Galesburg's playing really well, and they flatlined Sterling last night. They're a tough team. They're really tough. And the first time these two teams played, the game was grotesque, to say the least. Kind of a bit of a different flavor of what Grant saw last night. There were 4 technical fouls. There were 40-something fouls in the game in the first meeting. So it was weird. There was no rhythm at all. Moline ended up pulling away, but also Galesburg in that game played probably their 2 top guards in Stone Thiel and Cesar Biles. So those guys are healthy and playing Art back. Keegan Crummer had a really good game on Tuesday for Galesburg. Eden Ayala, a sophomore, has really come alive for them as of late. Definitely butting into all-conference territory. They're a good team and currently 4th place outright in the conference, so they're the best of the rest. And Moline with this final stretch, Geneseo last night, they passed that test, and then Galesburg and then Quincy. It's 3 teams that are in the mix in that bottom half of the league, but all of them are like yearning, dying for a signature win. And everyone wants Moline. Everyone wants to take their head off. And they got to finish these 2 games on the road, Galesburg and Quincy, and we talk about how hard it is to win a league championship. Sean Taylor, in his 10 years, I believe it is now at Moline, they've won 20 games all but twice, and one of those was because of the COVID season. They only played 20 games. They won 16 of them. Outside of that, the year before that, when they won 16 and 15, well, they won 16 games because the entire rotation was sophomores and freshmen outside of like 2 players. So, cut a little bit of slack there. So safe to say that Moline has done some winning with Sean Taylor as the head coach. That being said, they've only won the Western Big Six title in his tenure twice. Wow. That's how hard it is to win. It's not easy. It's not easy to do. So the fact that this version of this team that lost 88% of its scoring, that lost 92% of its rebounding, are 2 games. They're 64 minutes away. Yes, on the road against the 2 longest trips in the Big Six, against 2 teams that are dying for a signature win. If you would have told them this going into June, knowing the parameters of the season coming along, they would have taken it in a heartbeat. And the fact that they're on the doorstep of having the opportunity, even if it does end up being in a split with the Rocks, both teams still get rewarded conference championship, folks. It's that simple. So for this Moline team, it's an amazing opportunity for them. Now they just have to go. They got to go take advantage of it.
And you saw Geneseo. How do you see that matchup with that's who Rock Island has this week?
It's the toughest matchup for them, I think, in the conference, just because of the fact that Geneseo we talked about it. They've got all conference level guys, but they just don't have that gear to be able to kind of hang on. And Rocky. Really, their biggest test to close the season was obviously Geneseo, and then they play Allman, I think, on Tuesday. Those are teams that are having very respectable seasons, especially those 2 specifically. Massive leaps and bounds compared. I mean, those are 2 teams that had won both less than 5 games combined a year the last few years.
1 win for Geneseo last year and 4 for Allman. So yeah.
And the fact that Allman is 8 or 9 wins, and I know last night was tough for them. I was thinking that was a game they could win, but Quincy went on the road and handled their business. Geneseo's got 12 wins, 12 and 16, I think is their record now. So they're programs that have massively improved. However, it's still with Rocky, it's 2 matchups they can really feast on, and I think that they'll be able to handle their business on Friday against Geneseo. Geneseo's got the guys that can hang for a little bit probably, but I think eventually the Rocks are just going to be too much for them.
Rock Island can wear out the best teams that they play. Geneseo, I saw them play UT last week. That's kind of what happened. The Panthers were really in control of that game from the start, but as the night went along, they just got more in control. And I think a not necessarily deep rotation for Geneseo was tested. Rock Island's going to test that even more because a lot of teams go into foul trouble against them simply because they're always over you and they're always making you come at you to commit those fouls. They get teams in foul trouble a lot. They can suffocate you offensively, defensively, and it's definitely a near impossible matchup for Geneseo. But I do think it could be a game that could be close for a little bit. But the Rocks, who saw on Tuesday, their 4 best guys all going double digits and have, like I said, have won 12 of 13. Rock Island should be in the driver's seat of that one.
Getting down to the last couple games of the regular season here. Enjoy the games Friday night. We'll see you right back here next Wednesday.